Force to look into it. And this was the first response that we've gotten. We're going to go back and ask them to look at it again.
Senator McCain wrote letters to both the National Archives and the Air Force. Both claimed not to have jurisdiction over such matters.
I was kind of surprised at that response. But there are people who said they saw things, and whenever that happens, they deserve at least an investigation, it seems to me.
The Air Force explanation eventually provided to Senator McCain was military flares dropped from A-10 Warthogs between 9:30 and 10 p.m.
Oh my God! Oh.
I hit pay dirt, finally.
According to some analysts, these lights captured on film were flares.
Well, that is a totally different configuration than we've ever seen before.
Yep.
But this does not account for the large boomerang-shaped object seen by the governor and hundreds, possibly thousands of others across the state beginning several hours earlier.
I mean, it clearly had a shape to it, and a big shape, and it was a constant shape. And you can't control flares that way. There's just no way they were flares.
Why can't they tell us? I mean, what's it going to hurt? I would like for them to come out and say, that's top secret, and we're not going to tell you what it was.
The V formation.
I was only able to find one video taken of the earlier sightings.
Over a period of somewhere between.
I was, however, given this video taken by an Army colonel a few years earlier. It reminds me of what Arizona witnesses described seeing.
There's no sound, and it's not planes flying in formation. I don't hear anything, do you?
No, I don't hear anything. What in the hell is that?
Can you see the stars? Can you see through it? Right behind it.
Yeah, I see it now.
And it's that's not planes flying in formation behind it either. It's another triangle.
What would you say to the people about it?
I'd say I saw an unidentified flying object of massive proportions float over the city of Phoenix and Scottsdale, and I don't have the damnedest clue what it was.
I saw it. It was over my house. I saw it for 5 minutes. It wasn't something that was a flash that I only saw for a second. Could it have been? I know what I saw. And I get very upset, and I was wondering why they won't find out what it was.
Governor Symington, I am Bill Burns from the History Channel. Just a quick question. When you were giving your press conference back in Phoenix, were there any external pressures on you to diffuse the situation in the way you did, or did anyone instruct you not to comment on the truth of what was happening in Phoenix?
Well, the only external pressure, and it was significant, was the fact that there was just this massive public reaction to the lights over Phoenix. I mean, we've just being inundated by the press and people coming into my office saying this thing is just reaching heights of hysteria and concern. I'd never seen that before. I mean, I'd been in office for quite a while, and I'd never seen kind of that reaction. And so three of us sort of sat down at the end and decided to try to lighten the mood a little bit. Well, I'd like now to set the record straight. I never meant to ridicule anyone. My office did make inquiries as to the origin of the craft, but to this day they remain unanswered. I still don't know what it was. As a pilot and a former Air Force officer, I can definitively say that this craft did not resemble any man-made object that I'd ever seen. Well, I now know that I'm not alone in witnessing something extraordinary. That's the bottom line. There are many high-ranking military, aviation, and government officials, many of whom are here today, who share my concerns. Some of them have truly exceptional stories to tell.
Hundreds of people saw a majestic triangular craft with a span of approximately 120 feet. Powerful beaming spotlights moving very slowly without making any significant noise, but in several cases accelerating to very high speeds.
Physical traces on the ground from the craft were confirmed by the local police. The official conclusion of Japan in 1979 was that about 15% of the cases remained unidentified after careful analysis by our experts.
Fue entonces que me acerqué a 100 metros del objeto. Tenía unos 10 metros de diámetro, estaba como esmaltado con una cúpula de color crema sobre una base metálica ancha y circular. No tenía motores, ni escapes, ni ventanas, ni alas o antenas. Carecía de todos los implementos típicos de un avión y sin ningún sistema visible de propulsión.
Lamentablemente, el tema relacionado con los ovnis se encuentra muy contaminado y con una importante cantidad de información falsa.
Most UFO sightings turned out to be misidentifications of things such as aircraft, satellites and meteors, but in around 5% of cases no explanation could be found.
Washington, D.C. is no stranger to this story.
Could these saucers be some kind of a secret weapon of ours?
No. If they were, Air Materiel Command would be the first to know.
How about a device from a foreign country?
We know they're not.
What is your opinion, Colonel?
The U.S. Air Force's involvement with UFOs started back in World War II when pilots reported being followed by luminous orbs. They were nicknamed Foo Fighters. By 1947, flying saucer sightings were getting national coverage.
They flew like erratically, like a saucer would if you skipped it across the water.
According to this memo titled Opinion Concerning Flying Discs by General Nathan Twining, the phenomenon reported is something real and not visionary or fictitious.
No, it just come up like that and then it tipped and just, I mean, really went. It didn't have no smoke, no motor, just the wind. It went fast. I've never seen anything go so fast in my life as that thing went. Yeah.
The sightings over Washington in July 1952 were just part of one of the biggest and most impressive UFO waves in all UFO history.
This incident was witnessed by the public, military pilots, and air traffic control.
Pilots went aloft. They saw a luminous glowing object out in front of them, right where the radar indicated it to be. So you had ground radar, airborne radar, and the pilots' visual sightings.
Look magazine reported that radar operators at Washington National Airport tracked UFOs at speeds up to 7,000 miles per hour.
I am here to discuss the so-called flying saucers.
Major General Samford, who was the Director of Information of the Air Force, called a press conference which was characterized at the time as being the largest press conference since World War II.
The Air Force interest in this problem has been due to our feeling of an obligation to identify and analyze to the best of our ability anything in the air that may have the possibility of threat or menace to the United States. There have been a certain percentage of this volume of reports that have been made by credible observers of relatively incredible things. It is this group of observations that we now are attempting to resolve.
Did the Joint Chiefs of Staff talk to you or concern you about the unknown and the unidentified flying object?
Oh, yes, we discussed it at every conference that we had with the military, and they never were able to make me a concrete report on.
Do you have anything on the subject, sir?
No, I haven't anything on the subject, and there's always things like that going on, flying saucers, and we've had other things.
There were senior Air Force generals convinced that we had interplanetary visitors. And they were setting the policy. And they were behind the Life magazine article of, I believe, April 1952, which